How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather SpongeBob 1000, and in this video we're going to focus more on this major Christmas blizzard that's expected to impact the Midwest and the Northeast, where some areas could experience up to 2 feet of snow. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar, and we do see a large area of snow showers now developing through Minnesota and Iowa, and we do see some snow showers as well moving through Nebraska and the Dakotas at this time. However, we don't necessarily see heavy snowfall just yet with this trough moving through, as the snow is mainly on the light to moderate side, but that is expected to change once this trough continues to head further eastward and encounters more of that warm and very moist air mass that's located further eastward, and that's going to create an unstable environment for this low pressure system to undergo bombogenesis and rapidly intensify as it heads further eastward, to the point where we're going to see snowfall heavy at times associated with these clusters of snow showers, and we could see winds occasionally gust over 60 to potentially 70 miles per hour in some locations, such as the Midwest and potentially the East Coast as well could get involved with those stronger wind gusts. Now, taking a look at the futurecast, taking a look at what the computer models are forecasting when it comes to this low pressure system, pretty much the certainty is very high at this point between the two computer models. They're both in really good agreement where the heaviest snow will fall. However, there's still definitely a pretty big gap when it comes to snowfall, the exact amount of snowfall accumulation, because we still have the GFS model wanting to take much more snow to Ohio, Indiana, and even Northeast, while the European model isn't as confident as bringing the as heavy snowfall to the Midwest and Northeast. If I were to show you guys a snowfall forecast from the GFS model, we do see a large area where the GFS model wants to bring over 6 to 12 inches of snow. Let me move to this total snowfall map. It's a little bit more accurate regarding the ratio of precipitable rainfall equating the inches of snow, and we do see that a large area of the Midwest and Northeast in the GFS model scenario would experience 6 to 12 inches. This includes Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and we even see some areas right around the Midwest and even upstate New York experience over 2 feet of snow, especially if you're right along the lakes, where of course the lake effect snow will play a major role in terms of how much snowfall you'd receive. And we even see over 2 feet of snow and potentially up to 3 feet of snow in some areas right around northern Michigan. So the GFS model is a lot more confident in bringing heavy snowfall over a larger area, and we even see the bigger cities such as Chicago, Milwaukee, and even Indianapolis receive 6 to 12 to potentially over a foot of snow, which in a lot of places right around the Midwest, this would be record-breaking snowfall for one snowstorm. So this is definitely something to keep in mind. However, the European model is definitely a lot less confident in bringing as heavy snowfall. It still brings heavy snowfall to the same areas, but we see the European model wanting to take less snowfall overall, as pretty much the only areas experiencing expected to experience over 6 inches of snow include Michigan and the coasts of the Great Lakes in upstate New York, where you do experience 6 to 12 inches. But other than that, the European model mainly wants to take a large area of 3 to 6 inches throughout the Midwest. This includes Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and even into Indiana and Ohio, but doesn't necessarily bring that very heavy snowfall over a large area. But based on the fact that the European model has been handling this storm correctly when it comes to its forecast thus far, it's better to assume that the European model will be the more correct model at this point. We can't completely disregard the GFS model either, because it's still a very reliable model, but the European model has been spot on over the past several runs when it comes to forecasting the storm, while the GFS model hasn't really been that accurate when it comes to forecasting this storm. So it's better to lean more towards the European model's forecast. But even though the European model does not want to take as heavy snowfall over as large of an area, we still do see that there is a very significant snowstorm, because places like Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Des Moines experience 3 to 6 inches of snow, and that's not including the strong winds that will be associated with this storm as well, where we could see wind gusts well over 40 to 50 miles per hour in some some areas. And we even see portions of the Northeast get involved with some of that heavy snowfall, such as Pennsylvania, where the European model wants to bring a large area of 3-6 inches of snow to a large portion of Pennsylvania. And we see a large area between 6 to 12 inches of snow in upstate New York, especially in the higher elevations. And we see that snow extend eventually into Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire as well. So this is still a significant snowstorm for many Americans, and many Americans should expect a white Christmas as a result of this snowstorm moving through. And we see snow even move as far south as the southeast, where we do see portions of Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Missouri also get involved with some snowfall associated with this storm. So the forecast is pretty inevitable at this point that these areas will experience snowfall. Seems like the European model will be the more correct scenario, so we need to prepare for potentially blizzard conditions. Taking a look at what you should forecast when it comes to the amount of wind. So if we were to take a look at that, based on what the European model is stating, we're going to see a very large area of wind, especially in the Northeast, where I think the wind should be the strongest, especially as the storm continues to strengthen, where we see the pressure drop down to 969 millibars, and we see the winds sustained right around the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. And of course, wind gusts will be much higher than that, where winds could occasionally gust over 50 miles per hour, and these winds will especially be strong right along the east coast as well, where I wouldn't be surprised if we do see localized areas experience wind gusts over hurricane force based on how powerful this low pressure system will be. So that's going to be something to keep in mind if you're right up along the east coast. Winds will be a major issue with this storm. Now, taking a look at the current temperatures, that's another thing you're going to need to worry about on the back side of this low pressure system, because look at the current temperatures we're seeing in the northern Midwest: -17, -16, -20s, and this cold is expected to eventually move into the Midwest and eventually further eastward into Northeast. So it should be quite a frigid Christmas for many Americans, where we could see record-breaking snow on the backside of this low pressure system, which makes sense because we're going to see a very strong northwesterly flow associated with this low pressure system that will push a lot of that Arctic air further southward into the United States much faster, and it will be much more persistent than, let's say, any other low pressure system would, because this low pressure system is very powerful, and it's going to bring powerful winds to bring a persistent level of cold air further southward for the temperatures to be very frigid this Christmas. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind, that temperatures will be much colder than average on the back side of this low pressure system. Now, take a look at the Futurecast radar to see when you should expect the heaviest snowfall. So in Minneapolis, most of you guys are already experiencing some snowfall. I'd say you experience right around 3 inches of snow, and then Des Moines, the worst of the snowfall still has yet to come. And eventually, of course, as this trough continues to head further eastward, we're going to see that instability enhance, and then heavy snowfall will develop right around Missouri, so where St. Louis could get involved, Chicago as well, Milwaukee, and we see a bow echo develop with this low pressure system as, of course, the storm strengthens, and we see very heavy snowfall throughout Michigan and extending into Indiana and Ohio as well. And moving forward, we could maybe see some snowfall on the backside of this storm along the East Coast, where we do see Philadelphia and even New York, a little bit of the New York City metropolitan area get involved with some snowfall before eventually drying up. But it should primarily be a rain event for much of the Interstate 95 corridor, but also in the upstate New York, you need to pay attention to that high probability of heavy snowfall associated with this storm as well. Now, taking a look at the total ice accumulation, because this is another thing you're going to need to worry about around the Northeast, because we're going to see a warm air intrusion in the mid levels, which will enhance the possibility of ice accumulation occurring, as the worst of ice accumulation should occur right around the Appalachian mountain ranges of West Virginia, as well as the western portion of Virginia, where you could see up to 1/4 inch of ice, which is enough to cause a heavy amount of havoc in those areas. And we even see that ice accumulation to a lesser extent move into Pennsylvania, and we do see some ice accumulation is possible. Up to a 1/10 of an inch of ice is possible right around the northern portion of Maine as well. And remember that all it takes is just a 1/10 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch of ice to create very dangerous road conditions. So you don't want to underestimate the amount of ice accumulation just because it may seem so so small because only a tenth of an inch of ice is capable of causing havoc on the roadway. So make sure to keep that in mind along the mid-Atlantic. Now, taking a look at my forecast when it comes to snowfall accumulation, pretty much the same thing as what I've been saying over the past two videos, where I'm expecting a large area of 6 to 12 inches extending to Chicago. This could extend into Wisconsin as well, the northern portion of Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and even portions of upstate New York could experience 6 to 12 inches of snow associated with this storm. 3 to 6 inches just to the south of it, and then 1 to 3 inches even further southward, where this could move as far south as Tennessee and Arkansas. So make sure to pay close attention to that head into this Christmas, as many Americans should expect a white Christmas, all thanks to this extreme blizzard that's expected to move through. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. Whether you call saying, I hope you guys have a great day.